Access granted.
Ninjas! This is Ninja Chick 0117. I'm here to review the 3 missions with Sergeant Johnson and the Master Chief in the Halo campaign Evolved. I'll tell you my overall thoughts, my favorite parts, what I liked about the gameplay. I'll tell you a bit about what's going on in the story. Not all of it, just because I would like for you guys to go and play it. It's definitely something I recommend playing in these missions. So let's get this started and we'll go with it. I really liked how the beginning went, of how it was just explaining what was going on at this point in the war, and being able to find this research ship, and the UNSC really wanting to know more about it and why it's a research ship. The intro to that was awesome. I thought it reminded me of Star Wars, where they started in space, and it's just a very pretty graphics. It's very pretty coloring. Obviously the Covenant has more of the purple green hue of things, and I really, really enjoyed that. I enjoyed their interactions. Of course, the grunts are one of my favorite species. They're just so super silly and stupid in my mind, but they can be pretty clever. My favorite part was him just pressing the buttons, trying to get them all opened. And then I loved the nod to Halo 2 with Boo. I thought that was super awesome to see. And then Keston John, we get to introduce his voice acting to Sergeant Johnson, which I love. David Scully, do not get me wrong, I do miss him. I wish that he was the original voice actor.
Are you ready to get to it?
This new voice actor was phenomenal with Sergeant Johnson, and I'll go back more into that at the end. The graphics were insane. It made me feel like how the books were. And a scene of Johnson and Master Chief opening the door, and the chief was like, why is this taking so damn long, basically? And Johnson was like, yo, until you get an AI up in your armor, you're gonna have to deal with whatever I got. So I thought it was a really cool nod of like, you're gonna get an AI. Not like he knew that there was an AI, but we know there was an AI coming up. I thought it was super interesting to see that the Covenant we were not the only ones researching on them. They were researching on us. They had our guns, they had our grenades, they had all these different things that we were because you saw like UNSC boxes. So I thought it was really cool to know that like this ship is like to research how humans are. Not the only thing they're researching on this ship. They were researching on their own, like elites and brutes. You walk into this room that you see here, and they're just in these pods, and it looks like they're just experimenting to see how everything works with humans, to them kind of controlling species, which you get to find out more towards in the missions. The Master Chief, Halo is awesome, but the Master Chief looked really, really good. His armor was pretty smooth looking. I really enjoyed seeing that. The gameplay between with you is really awesome. The introduction to Harmony was so thrilling, and them just being like, why in the hell is a prophet here? Like, they were very confused. And then this whole dialogue of him kind of just explaining like, hey, you should understand experiments, like humans do the same shit basically. And then him talking about each of the species that they have on the Covenant was fun to me because of this part with the grunts. They're just like, oh, us, you, me? Like, it's hilarious. The jackals being, feral little things as they are. And then, of course, the Sanheli of them just showing off the swords, and just know that they are one of the most powerful species on there. Then he brings out this brute, and he looks feral as it is. Looks like he's, being controlled. As you could tell, he puts that little pod thing in here, and that surges him to be in control, which we've seen notoriously of the Covenant doing that. I thought smart of Sergeant Johnson hitting that, because it does make them super feral just to be attacking their own. So I thought it was really cool touch to do during the game, because it made it so much easier in certain parts of the game, of just having them attack all the Covenant, and then you just like killing the brute itself. I loved the duo here. It really showed how like close, quote unquote, of how Master Chief and Johnson were. Just their bantering, him and Johnson just doing what they've been doing in Halo 2 and 3, kind of giving each other shit. I loved how Johnson treated the Master Chief as like, yeah, he's a little odd, like, you know, Spartans are sociopaths because of what they've been through, but he still treated him like a soldier. He definitely was just, like, understanding of why or who he is. I really thought it was cool to see that we found ODSTs. You get to find out that the place that you were at in that dome, it is a hunting grounds for the Covenant to see how they were experimenting. And meeting these ODSTs, one of my favorite parts of the mission is that they're just like in awe of the Master Chief, because I mean they're like the gods to them, right? Because of how the stories are played to him. But I really liked how Williams did not mess with the Chief. Like, she did not like him. She immediately had beef, and that is because in the Fall of Reach, we'll go into that more of like lore wise, the ODSTs and the Spartans have this beef. She kind of mentions it in the game about like how the ODSTs were put on the back burner after the Spartans came, and eventually Sergeant Johnson was just like, girl, like, get it together, we're fighting the same war. And she's a badass. I do like that character. But, you know, and so even the Master Chief was like, we're on the same side. Like, I think you're a soldier, I respect you as a soldier, and, like, we just need to come together. And eventually she does warm up to him a bit. Here's some of the gameplay, as you can tell. It was really fun. I loved the pace of it. I love how you can sprint in the game. I love how you can hold, like, camouflage and the more of larger shields instead of like how in Halo 1 you immediately have to use it. I love how it's kind of mixed with the infinite reach, and also 4 where you get to, and 5 obviously, but we don't talk about 5, but how you get to use these abilities instead of whenever you want, instead of, you know, having to use it immediately. I loved, and I died again. But as you could tell, right here, the bridge part really made me feel like I was in Reach again. Reach is one of my favorite top 3s there, and I was really thrilled of just being able to have that feeling again. It did a lot of nods to all the different type of Halo games, which I enjoyed. So I was very just thrilled to have that feeling. There is another part in the game where you're flying a Seraph, and that made me feel like I was also in Reach, where you're with, you know, George in those missions. So, but here you're trying to collect the data that the UNSC has been sending you out for anyways. So it was very nice to have this scene as well, because it just shows that Johnson just doesn't fuck with people that just flaps their mouths. I mean, he hated when Truth did it, so of course he's gonna hate when Harmony does it as well. I thought it was interesting as well to see that, like, the Chief was very worried about these ODSTs and them being on their own. So seeing them, you could just tell he was just very proud and happy to see that they survived. And I loved how she's just sitting on a hunter. It's such a badass move. Williams was just, you know, telling the Chief, like, yeah, we need to blow this place up because this research ship is kind of bullshit. And so they agreed. However, the shields during this time, the humanity didn't know how to deal with the Covenant because they did have stronger shields. So unfortunately, Williams did have to stay behind. Chief was not too thrilled about it. He was saying, like, that's not the mission. The famous line that I love and care for is what Johnson says here, that the missions change, they always do. And I think that really changed Chief's perspective on things. It's notorious in the books that he hates leaving soldiers behind. He rather bring everyone home. It explains in the Fall of Reach mostly, and I'll deep dive into that later on in a film or in a video. But now you get to fly in space. As you could tell, I'm playing with the controls, seeing how the Seraph works, because I've been so excited to fly a Seraph in the games. So I was very, very thrilled to be able to do that here. It, again, made me feel like I was in Reach. You're fighting off the Banshees and other Seraphs to defend, or to kind of just destroy this research ship to help the ODSTs with the generators to get the shields down. So then the ship that comes to you can come and destroy it. So it was really fun to have this moment. It really, like I said, the graphics have just been insane. The colors are amazing. The sound effects are phenomenal. I really enjoyed how everything sounded, how it just made me feel like a Halo game in general. So it was very fun to have that. And like I said, the bantering between Chief and Sergeant Johnson was just pretty fun to have. And I just enjoyed every second of it. Here, yeah, you could tell that we're just taking down the stuff for the ODSTs to get to the generators, which just was really fun to have. I really liked how they had the picture of them on the side, like they have been doing from 4 to previous, so like newer players can see who's talking, who's what, right? The end of these missions was perfect. You get to find out what the data is, and you get to have a interaction with Halsey and Sergeant Johnson, which I thought was very interesting and a good nod towards Dr. Halsey coming in. And I loved what that Sergeant Johnson called him a kid, and she's like, they're not really kids anymore, because I mean they're in their 40s at this point. So it's really cool to see that Sergeant Johnson is just, I was really impressed with Keston and his acting with Sergeant Johnson. The data you get to find out is the Covenant homeland. I thought that was an awesome way to know. That's how we figured out where they are located. Overall, I'd give these 3 missions an 8 out of 10. The only reason why, a couple reasons, is that I really was disappointed on not dual wielding. I know in Halo 1 itself that we weren't really able to until Halo 2, and then they took that away from us again eventually. But I would have loved, because they did a lot of nods towards other games, and you could pick up an energy sword, that we didn't do that. There's other things that just dialogue, I was just kind of like, but it wasn't bad enough to give it a low score. I thought it was perfect, especially for players like PlayStation players and newer players to see. I thought this was a great introduction for them. I thought this was a perfect way to also show us how Johnson and the Master Chief are actually pretty close with each other, because in Halo 2, we're like, oh, they're kind of like bestie boozies, right? And we're just like, how? They never even met each other in one. But in the books, they have interacted with each other before. So I was just very thrilled to see that actually come to life. And I was just very happy with how Keston John really stepped in for this role. He brought a very energetic, younger of Sergeant Johnson than we have seen with David Scully. Love David Scully, and I missed him not being able to be voice acting for him. But they did such a great job with Keston John being it. I, again, loved the graphics. The graphics were very pretty, and compared to the 99 version of Halo, it was a great revamp. I am very excited to be playing the campaign itself, and I will be redoing a review of that as well. I'm very excited to, like I mentioned before in my posts, that I'm going to be doing more lore and timeline videos, so I'm just very excited about that. I would recommend everybody to play these 3 missions. I thought, like I said, everything just was very smooth and Unreal really did their damn near best on this game, so I'm very excited for the main campaign. But without further ado, ninjas, I will talk to you guys later, and keep an eye out for that campaign review. I will probably be doing it in different parts, play mission, like 3 or 4 missions in between, and that's how I'm going to separate them out. But I'm very excited for this game, and for me to be able to tell you how much this game really means to me, and all of that. So bye, ninjas. We'll talk to you soon.